This story begins in 1995, which was a pretty rough year for Guns N' Roses, or at least if you were Guns N' Roses frontman Axl Rose. Now, from 1988 to 1993, Guns N' Roses dominated the rock scene, selling millions of records, playing sold-out shows around the world, and causing controversy as well. And in the summer of 1993, Guns N' Roses wrapped up one of the longest tours in rock history, supporting their epic double album Use Your Illusion 1 and 2. The band tried to reassemble the following year and in 1995 to write new music, but struggled to do so. This forced several members, including guitarist Slash and Gilby Clarke, as well as drummer Matt Sorum, to start a side project called Slash's Snake Pit, in which they released a record called It's 5 O'Clock Somewhere, and even went on tour. But Guns N' Roses were basically falling apart. Frontman Axl Rose went through a pretty rough few years from 1994 to 1997. He'd been involved in litigation with his former wife Erin Everly and ex-girlfriend Stephanie Seymour. His mother would die during this time, his house would also almost be burned down, and his luck couldn't seem to get any worse, or so he thought. The rock star also became more reclusive, and sightings of the singer were few and far between. Now in 1995, Rose started to get visits from his stalker. A week after he settled his lawsuit with ex-wife Erin Everly in 1995, he'd get an unannounced visit from a woman named Jane McNeil, who was a deranged fan who broke into Rose's house for the first time. Rose would testify in a declaration that he was at home playing guitar at his kitchen table and heard a noise at the front door. He called out and heard no answer. He just assumed it was his housekeeper Betta and continued to play his guitar. Within a few minutes, Rose turned to his left and observed a woman he'd never seen before. She was approximately 5'5" and very heavy. And when she startled Rose, he asked her how she got into the house, and her response was, "I'm just here." She acted like she did nothing wrong or unusual, stated Rose. After police took the woman away, Rose found out she was carrying James McNeil, and she came all the way from Ohio to answer his psychic call. It also turned out that she'd been to his house 2 days prior, standing outside the gate. Axl would end up pressing charges. Now fast forward to May 4th, 1995, McNeil would appear outside Rose's home once again, begging him to drop the charges. Even when McNeil was in jail, she'd still be sending Rose letters, with one stating, "Good job. Make a big laugh at me. Don't you consider how I feel? If this is you being kind and loving person, I'd hate to see you as spiteful and curt. The day I was at your house, you said nobody wanted me around there. That's fine. I'll just find me a boyfriend." She added there was no way I can take my brain out and hand it over. I can't even have my son full-time because of my head. Now, about a week later, on May 12, 1995, Rose filed a restraining order against McNeil, and Axl Rose's personal assistant, Beta Labias, had claimed that McNeil had stalked Rose for about 4 years and had been to his property at least 6 times. She also stated that the woman claims to be Rose's wife, and basically if he doesn't belong to her, he doesn't belong to anyone else. Now, Rose's original restraining order was rejected by the courts, so he filed another one in 1996 and in 2000, and was finally granted one. Fast forward a few years later to 1997, the woman reappeared outside Rose's house and was given another restraining order and was ordered to stay at least 300 yards away from Rose at all time. And 3 years later, in 2000, she was arrested once again on his property, with one source claiming that deputies at the LA County Sheriff's Office received a call saying a person was trying to enter his property, and there was even unconfirmed reports that she was in Rose's bed when she was arrested. Now, it was also coincidentally around this time that rumors started to swirl around that the original lineup of Guns N' Roses were reuniting and rehearsing at a secret location in Arizona. That, of course, turned out to not be true. Now, McNeil would spend a year in prison for violating the restraining order, and Rose wasn't the only celebrity she was stalking, as she also most recently went after Justin Timberlake and Metallica drummer Lars Ulrich. Details have emerged in the Timberlake stalker case that would be pretty scary. Timberlake's security team had apprehended McNeil, who showed up at the singer's Los Angeles home claiming to know him. And according to Timberlake, it wasn't the first time she bypassed his gates. He testified that McNeil claimed to be God and that she was stalking him because she believed they were to rule together and be married. And one night she showed up in a taxi cab with all her belongings, claiming to be ready to marry the singer. Now, even Lars Ulrich got a restraining order against the same person, and it wasn't just for himself, but it was also for his band and any members of the people who ran the Metallica fan club. And she was ordered to stay at least 150 yards away from all those people. And Timberlake was eventually granted a restraining order as well. So that does it for today's video, guys. Thanks for watching. Be sure to hit the like button and subscribe. And as always, if you guys have suggestions on topics you'd like to see me cover, shoot me an email at gnrcentralnews@gmail.com or respond to the pinned comment in the comment section below. Take care.